Okay, hello everyone, welcome to this new video. As you can see, stuff has changed. I've been busy the last couple of days fixing my wireless, got a new ISP, rewired everything, new studio setup, and so on and so forth, new furniture. Lots of stuff was happening, so I couldn't make as much videos as I'm usually doing. So yeah, I thought we continue where we left off, and I hope today in new and improved quality. I got this new guy over here. It's a Canon DSLR camera that we are going to use to look at the gear, and I hope it looks better than it used to be. And I think we're just going to start with the resonator today of the Iridium, and I'm just going to show you how it works, and yeah, let's see where it goes. So we have now an init patch, and the first thing I'm going to do is activate the resonator, which is here colored in red. And the way the resonator works, it takes a sound, a sample, or some kind of noise that is then passed through a series of bandpass filters to create a resonant sound, which is often more like bellish or like a wind instrument or something like that. So yeah, you just go and into the sample page and load any sound you want, and it kind of works with long sounds, it works with short sounds, it doesn't really matter. So I would say let's go here in the default samples. There's the RD tonal keys, and come on. And here we got the 5th tone. Sounds like that. Lots of reverb in it. Doesn't matter, because as soon as we load it, it's only played as long as you hold down a note. You can see the playheads here, just like normal sample playback. It sounds pretty different already. So the resonator creates partials from that initial sound and moves them along the time line, basically. You can set the acceleration, the spread, also the attack phase of each partial, and you can set the speed between the partials as they move out in a certain acceleration pattern. So we will get into all of that. So it's pretty cool how much sound modification you can do with just the oscillator, and you don't even need to touch the filters and I don't know, everything else that the synth has to offer to make a very interesting sound already. So right at the start we got the Q factor here, and it's kind of like how pronounced you want to have each partial to have, or how resonant it should be. So, and also there are different timbre modes that also decide how this Q factor is then working with these partials. So the most prominent change is when you go to a saw square. And the default is more like a saw. Then we got a sine. And a sine saw. It's rounding everything off here. And modulo. Or modulo. So yeah, this oscillator is very experimental, esoteric. So whatever sounds right is right. There's no real science behind it. So let's go back to the peak mode and add some more repeats to the sound. And this is one of the main oscillator parameters, where you can say that the initial sound that is picked up and then sent through these filters, how often that should be repeated. And you can go up to 16, and I'm just going to show you 4 now, 8, 16, oh no, 12, and now 16. So, and that's already giving us a lot of options. And without repeats, you can't use decay, for example, or acceleration. They make no sense if you only have one. So let's look into the decay with 4 repeats. So it's not, as the name suggests, a decay of an envelope. It's actually like a time from, as if you would set up a delay. So, and below that you got acceleration. And you can already hear what it does. Basically determines how fast all these repeats get to the end. And it also goes in a negative way. Where they sound like they are falling or stumbling over themselves backwards. Then the next big parameter that you have here is the attack. And that works like an envelope actually. So each of the grains then gets a more pronounced attack phase. Now we get a flute-like sound. And here, of course, you can combine it then with the decay and acceleration. And you can hear how it rings out now because of the decay, creating such a gap between the next partial. Okay, so that's that. And then we got spectrum skew, which means it basically says the volume of each partial. If you put it at 0, then they will all be equal in volume. So the initial part is always loud, the exciter. So this more controls how loud the repeats and the partials should be. Okay, then we got spread, which says, which determines the distance between each of the partials in relation to itself. So you can basically drag it out, and it gives us very interesting stretch sampling sounds. Also very smooth. And we got 2 spread modes, stretch and stiffness. Stretch is default in the longest range in terms of spreading, and stiffness always seems to retain the first part and then extends or shortens the remainder. Oops. Okay, so that's a spread. Then we got the exciter, and it's really hard to describe. It kind of works like a filter, but it makes it like sound like a tube, like it's running through a tube, and kind of makes the sound more hollow. And it's probably good for making flute sounds or I don't know, that kind of stuff. Yeah, it works best when you increase the attack. And it probably was a lower Q. Oh, yeah, and then we didn't talk about Q curve. That's basically how the performances of the Q. So when you go into its default is 0.3, but when you go into the negative, it kind of has like an upward slope, and in the other direction, it's more downward, more faster, or slower, I mean. So now we're getting an harpsichord territory here. So that's the difference between the curves. Yeah, and I think that's almost all about it. Now, then there's a high cut, and yeah, then you can use it to cut the highs from the sound. And they got a stereo parameter that's very interesting. But yeah, it depends on what you are after or looking for. If you want a white sound, then you can set the stereo field for all the partials. Yeah, and then we got F0 boost. So I really have to look up here. The the manual is really strange about it. Where is it? F0 boost, yeah, is the denomination for the fundamental note. This parameter boosts F0 independently from the partials. In my experience, it just gives the sound more body. Now it sounds thin. Now it has more bass. But yeah, maybe you can have a better, easier explanation what it actually does. Maybe it's different with a different sample, which you can change at any moment when you think you don't find what you're looking for with that exciter or with that sample. Then yeah, you can just go back to samples and remove what you currently have there and just add something else, and all the settings are retained. So I don't know, let's take Arcadia, which looks like a long pad kind of sound. And maybe we're gonna use something else. Da, 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 da. Yeah, and then we got the timbre control, or timbre. Well, that one changes the sound drastically, and well, it changes the structure of the partials. And when you can see here, let me use the spectrum screw so you can see how the partials are changed here. So yeah, that's that. And I think I covered everything about it now. You can, yeah, as I said, you can really do all kinds of sound changes with the sound here. Go an octave lower. Then maybe increase the release time and maybe a little bit of attack. And then maybe add a nice reverb, long of course. And maybe a delay. Yep. And you can start using a filter. Now I changed the decay so the repeats are closer together. Or I can get this wave kind of going. Now while this is going, I can play with the spread. We're still in stiffness mode. Let's go with stretch to get the full range. There you go. That is the Iridium Resonator engine. I hope you liked this video, and sorry if my explanations weren't absolutely 100% on point, and I also had to refer the manual at some points. And yeah, I'm still, as I said, I didn't have much time to get into it, but I will coming this weekend, and then probably I will make some jams. And yeah, you can make very exciting sounds with just a resonator, and I can only imagine how it will sound if I keep adding two more engines to it and use the digiformer and whatnot, and some envelopes and modulation, aftertouch. So many possibilities here. So yeah, thanks again, and see you in the next one. Bye.